similar to what they're currently encountering in Iraq in the Battle of Najaf. Troops told Fox News this is as real as it gets without having actual Iraqis shooting at them. They learned to discriminate between civilians and insurgents while controlling crowds, searching buildings, and interrogating suspects. All the real dangers of Iraq are here, including booby traps like a grenade hid inside a cabinet. Now, it is crucial for soldiers to learn how to detect, defuse, and avoid the improvised explosive devices because they are killing an average of 2 American soldiers a day. The Army says using real civilians provides great benefits.
One of the reasons we use civilians is we use 300 civilians on the battlefield here. That would be a lot of soldier manpower that's better used in training and in a combat environment with their units. The second reason is you get an honest reaction out of civilians when you use them to role-play civilians.
Men and women civilians play different roles based on particular scenarios. They will riot, act as suicide bombers, beg for help, and hurl insults at the Americans. The men also act as snipers, playing war games with the real soldiers.
You know, anything I can do to help the soldiers, you know, because you hear so many die, and it just gets to my heart. Yeah, I like doing this.
Now, every soldier, from the mechanics to the artillery commanders, must go through these training courses at least twice before they are deemed to be combat ready. Then they move on to the National Training Center in California before being deployed to Iraq. John.
Texas are getting some very unusual help from the public. Fox News correspondent Phil Keating is here with a report. Hi, Phil.
Hi, David. Fort Hood, Texas is looking a whole lot like Fallujah, with civilians playing a very important role in preparing U.S. troops. For $11.25 an hour, traditional Arab clothing, and then some will taunt the troops, while others will welcome the troops as they get prepared in this fake Iraqi town. Loudspeakers broadcast Arabic prayers, giving an authentic feel, and then the civilian actors riot, act as suicide bombers, and yell insults like, "Go home, infidels." The men also pretend to be snipers, leading attacks against the soldiers. And for some civilians, like Ann Riley, the job is personal. She's playing an Iraqi because her daughter is in the Navy, stationed on an aircraft carrier.
It's very important to give them idea what to expect when they go over there and how to survive and be coming back home safe to their family, because we lost too many already.
The soldiers make their way through scenarios similar to what they are currently encountering in the Iraq battle in Najaf. Troops told Fox News this training is as real as it gets without actual Iraqis shooting at you. Here they learn how to discriminate between civilians and insurgents. Makeshift bombs are killing an average of 2 American soldiers a day, and the Army says using civilians in their training pays dividends.
Any kind of training, because ultimately in the conflict, the reaction of the civilian is critical to the operation.
Now, every soldier goes through this training. They must pass through it twice before they are deemed combat ready, and then they go to the National Training Center in California before ultimately
Civilians suiting up to look like people U.S. soldiers might find in an urban fighting environment to help their training and hopefully give them a better shot at returning home safely. In a Fox report now from Phil Keating.
The shootout looks real. The outraged Iraqi sounds real. And this Iraqi town feels real, but it's all fake. This is not Fallujah, this is Fort Hood, Texas. And these aren't Iraqis, they're actually American civilians getting paid $11.25 an hour to make sure these U.S. troops are as prepared for Iraq as they can be.
It's very important to give them idea what to expect when they go over there and how to survive and be coming back home safe to their family, because we lost too many already.
300 men and women dress up in traditional Arab clothing for this civilians on the battlefield training. The Army says this familiarizes the troops with what it will be like when they're really in Iraq, especially how to differentiate between Iraqi civilians who may be friendly and Iraqi insurgents who may suddenly throw a hand grenade.
You're not just going in and, like in the old Rambo movies, tearing up everything. You gotta be aware of your target and pay attention and try and keep the civilians out of the conflict.
For most of these civilian actors, this is much more than just a good-paying job. this is a way to do their part in the war effort, because lessons learned here with the actors could save American lives overseas, where the bullets and the homemade bombs are all very real.
You know, anything I can do to help the soldiers, you know, because you hear so many die, and it just gets to my heart. Yeah, I like doing this.
Every soldier must pass through this training 2 times before being considered combat ready. It's all an effort to keep the Army soldiers and their real interactions with real Iraqi civilians less dangerous. In Dallas, Texas, Phil Keating, Fox News.